Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. I've been away for quite a while, and yeah, it feels like a long time. And I know we have a really busy day today. I know some people, are coming later, and yeah. Anyway, gonna make it a good day. I'm gonna have a fairly simple message today. And I want to share some things that have been happening just recently that I think are very meaningful. And I just want to start off by just giving you a quick update on this renovation that's happening in the park across the street. Remember last year we talked about how in April they were going to start construction? Oh, I need the remote. So last year in April they were going to start construction on this park, and just as you know, it hasn't happened yet, right? And they pushed it back to July. And then yesterday there was this festival in the park, and I had the opportunity to talk with the people from the Parks and Recs department, and they said, that's just all these things have happened. For example, because of all the construction going on in Denver right now, the price of cement has gone up double. So they've just had to kind of look at their priorities and cut things that needed to be cut. But they are still progressing with the project, but it won't be starting until next year, 2017. So that's a real bummer, and I was really disappointed, and I think all of you are too, but we can't do much about it, unless we had a couple extra $1 million we could throw their way. But they did show us a redesign of this park fun playground type thing that they're going to be putting in place of the playground that's there right now. So this is their design that they've come up with. Looks pretty cool. Looks a lot safer than the other one that they had. But anyway, so they're going to be starting work on that hopefully in March. I hope it doesn't get pushed back again. And then, as you can see here, there's all the different parts of the project that they're going to be putting in. So that'll be really cool. We also had a really great time at the family camp a couple weeks ago, or was it last week? Just last week. It was really nice. A lot of families came, and just kind of a chance for people to get to know each other, spend time together in the beautiful mountains. You don't really realize how different it is to be in the mountains until you're actually there. Because once we got back, it was like you were driving into the city, and you got all the roads and stuff, and all the buildings, and it just felt kind of depressing. But we had the traditional, you have to have s'mores, and they did a hike to the little waterfall, and
yeah, Lisa! Hey, wave to the camera.
Yeah, I didn't actually go to this,
fun?
but it looks pretty cool.
Did you get wet this time? No? Oh, only on your face. Awesome.
So a lot of fun things to do there. So I want to really thank Justino and Joelle for organizing that, and next year you might want to come. Just speaking of Joelle, as many of you know, she's in the hospital today dealing with pneumonia. So her lungs have a lot of fluid in them. It's pretty serious. So please pray for her, and hopefully she'll be able to get out tomorrow. And then you can pray for a lot of people. A lot of our brothers and sisters have been in the hospital lately, or dealing with different kinds of sicknesses and whatnot. So I had also opportunity to go to Dallas, and I've shared with some of you already, but in Dallas they just bought a beautiful new church, and maybe I needed to keep this off. It's a $2.8 million building, and I got an email that I was invited to come to the opening ceremony, and honestly I didn't want to go. I had just got back from Missouri. I would have to leave like 2-3 days later, miss another Sunday, but I'm really glad that I went, because it's a beautiful place. It's a lot nicer than I expected it to be, honestly. This is kind of a side room where they've got just like a circular. You can see how the roof kind of slants down and it's circular. The building is very modern. It's not an old building by any means. This one's just running low on batteries. Yeah, so I'm sorry. This is another thing I need to apologize for. We're having a lot of technical difficulties with the AV system lately, buzzing noises, channels that just don't work. So believe me, it's very frustrating for me, but I hope we can tolerate it one more week. So one of the things I really love about this building is it's just very versatile. Got big, lots of open space, lots of natural lighting. It doesn't feel very churchy. It's got lots of. It's just got a really nice feel to it, and it's got a full gymnasium. That's like, you can just feel the excitement in the air when you go to that church now. People are so excited. They got this all open space for sports. They've got a huge outdoor area. It's just nice. It's not falling apart, and they had a great band. Not as good as ours, but it was pretty good. And and they just bought it 8 weeks ago or so, and it's quite a story. I'll have to let Reverend Jackson share it sometime, but the church cost $2.8 million, right? That's a pretty good chunk of money, and they were able to sell their own church for a little over $1 million, but then they still needed to finance the new building, which almost $2 million. It would have cost them about $8,000 a month for a mortgage, especially their building was paid off already, so. $8,000 a month mortgage is a lot. Their church is not much, their community is not much bigger than ours. But, headquarters called them and they said, we really want you to buy this church. We really want you to, True Mother is asking, trying to encourage our movement to upgrade, to improve. And so that headquarters is really trying to help with that process. So they actually offered to pay half the mortgage. And so then paying half the mortgage, then they're able to, it's manageable. So I was just inspired to see that. And also the heart of the people there was that, they want to inspire other communities. When I was, one guy gave me a ride at the airport, and he was part of the committee to find the building. And he said, we really want to inspire other communities that they can do what we did, that it's not impossible. And so I think that they did that. It was a really great experience. Oops. That's for later. So I really simply want to talk a little bit about dreaming today, dreaming big. When I went to Dallas and I saw that they had bought such a nice place and that their community is not much bigger than ours and their financial situation is not that much different than ours, it really got me thinking about how I don't want to be limited or limiting, like how much we can grow and how much we can develop as a community. Because I realized that in many ways, my own mindset is very small, thinking about, how to cut costs in this way, or like spending a few $100s here is like, is that going to be controversial or not? And just also thinking about, I don't want to be limited by the past, by the way that we've done things in the past, or maybe that, maybe we haven't grown before, so how are we going to grow in the future? All these kinds of things. I don't know how many of you saw David Stein's sermon a couple weeks ago. That was a great sermon, wasn't it? Sometimes when I'm working on the computer and I need some background noise, like music or whatever, I just put on a sermon. And I probably listened to David Stein's sermon probably 5 or 6 times. I really loved it. I really did. I really thought it was great. I love how how open it was. I was just, I felt like I got a glimpse into their life where he was talking about him and Kendra's relationship, and I just love how him and his whole family have just kind of jumped in with like both feet into this church and, dream about what the future could be for our community, for our children. I love that. I can relate so much with it because, coming here and being a part of this community, I know that sometimes it can be easy, or like it can feel tempting to just kind of stand in the back and kind of be skeptical and kind of, wonder if things are gonna, how things are gonna turn out, but not really invest much. But, being here as the pastor, I find that whenever I go anywhere, I'm always thinking, oh, like for example, when I went to Iowa and I visited my relatives and we went to one of their church service, and I was thinking, oh, we can borrow this for our church service, we can borrow that. Oh, that paint color looks nice, maybe we could use it for the outside of our building, stuff like that. I'm always thinking that way, like I can't even get it out of my head, it just like comes that way. And it's kind of annoying sometimes, but I just kind of realized that the church and this community has kind of become an extension of my own like personal ambitions and goals in my life. And I think that's pretty cool. I like it. But I was thinking about how, I was thinking about ourselves, like, right now, the building that we're in, if you look around, if there's not a lot of, if it's not full, if not a lot of people come on Sunday, it feels a little bit empty. And that's definitely not a good thing. I mean, we definitely need to grow and we need to fill out the space we have here. But I'm just thinking, 5, 10, 15 years into the future. Oh, that's another funny story, because when we first came here, I was thinking 3 to 5 years, right? I was thinking 3 to 5 years, just see what happens, and I can always do something else. But it's funny how your expectations are so unrealistic. At least mine were. I realized that this is something that I've gotten it myself into, kind of maybe more than I expected. And I really see now, I'm thinking more like 10, 15 years, what can we create? What can we do? And so when I start thinking that way, of course, I need to expand my mind, right? This is just like something I've been thinking about. But because I went to Dallas and I saw that they had a new church, I was thinking, well, what about us? Maybe we should get a new church. But then I'm thinking, well, our location is so good. Like in Dallas, their location is not good, right? But here, our location is so good. We're right across the highway from downtown, the campuses, this huge park that they're going to renovate, the light rail, it's up and coming, it's gentrifying, all these things are in our favor, so there's no reason to change. But there's no reason why we have to keep this building. Like, what if, and don't freak out, I'm just like saying hypothetically, just humor me a little bit here, but what if 10 years from now, when we have the possibility to spend a few $1 million on a building, what if we just tore everything down? Tore down that parsonage, tore out the parking lot, tore out the church. It's actually quite a bit of land if you tear out everything, right? And we put underground parking, and yeah, you like that, right? 3 or 4 stories of floors, filling up all this space. We could rent out some rooms to office space, or and we could put a big gymnasium in. We could have, sometimes we have these groups that come and stay with us, right? The fundraising teams, the ILTP groups. So we could put in a couple like dormitory-style rooms, and so we can charge more. Because right now they just sleep on the floor, and they're happy with that because they're used to living mobile. But and just all these ideas come to my head, and we were meeting with Ella because Ella's researching some trees to put in our spots over there. And so we were thinking, wow, if we had all this building, and let's say, for example, we had a flat roof, then we could put like a garden terrace kind of up on the top of the building. I got that idea from one of the buildings that's going up a few blocks away from here, like a senior citizen building. And then I was thinking, the top floor could be like our event venue floor, I'm just dreaming, right? So the top floor could be glass all around, 360-degree glass. And if you go up a few, I know the view from here isn't that great, right? But if you go over to David and Ella's apartment, right 2 blocks away, and you go up to their 6th-floor apartment, they have a beautiful view of the mountains. And so if you just go a few stories up, it's a really beautiful view. So you create a 360 glass floor, and you have a beautiful view of the mountains and the new park. Be great for weddings, be great for business meetings, and we could have church up there. And yeah, I think it would be really awesome. And I think that we need to dream dreams like that. I think that we need to have ambitions like that. You know, of course, there are so many things that need to happen on the way, you know, and just having a nice building, it doesn't guarantee us anything, right? Like, even if we had all the money in the world and the nicest building in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a thriving and a growing and a happy community. Those are all things that money can't buy, so to speak. But still, I can't help but just think, you know, that as long as we can invest into having those other things, why can't we have this beautiful kind of building? Why can't we dream about other things that we could possibly do in the future? Many of you know, 5 or 10 years, it sounds like a long time, but it's not. It'll be here, you know, in no time. And we'll all be 5 or 10 years older and wonder what we did. So I just putting that out there. I'm thinking, you know, I need to find an architect, someone who can give me an idea of what a kind of a building like that would cost, and what it would take to draw up the designs for such a thing, and wait for the cost of like cement and other supplies to go down a little bit, because that's crazy. So, but we'll see. Anyway, you know, we're not in a place to do that right now, but I think that that's something that we should work towards. That's something that we should dream about doing. I've been telling people, you know, my parents are coming back in a couple weeks, and yeah. Hey, and also for those of you who know Dasha's parents, what are their names again? Linda and Jim Howell. They're moving here September 1st. Yeah. Please pray for these families that are thinking of moving here. Some are already on the way, but Gilo and Casio, they want to move here, but he needs to find a job that's very comparable to the one he has in New York, you know? Nice job. That's absolutely right, it does. And, you know, Sammy and Stuart, you know, pray for them. They can come here sooner than later. And Christy and Sunduk, some of you remember them from before. Morales, they're planning on coming back in January. And James Powell, he wants to come to America, and he loved Colorado. So, him and his wife. So, yes, pray for that. But I'm really inspired about the idea of working together with my dad to create like a multi-generational ministry, father and son cooperation. My dad is one of the best divine principle lecturers I know, and he, has such great. I've always been inspired by my dad's wisdom, not just teaching divine principle, but sometimes we just, he would take me on a drive to nearby, faraway town where, because when we were younger, he had a financial advising business, and he had a couple offices around the state. So sometimes we would drive back and forth around the different offices, and we would just talk about stuff. I would just ask him questions about life and God, and I was always impressed by his answers. Sometimes it would be an opportunity for me to practice driving, and that was always more stressful. I remember one time, I'll probably never forget this experience, but I was driving, and it's like a one-lane highway, and there's a semi-truck coming towards us in the other direction, and And I just decided to use that exact moment while the semi-truck was passing to like check my phone or my wallet or something like that. And he was like, "Why did you do that?" I was like, "I don't know." But good memories like that. Yeah, it's good memories. It doesn't matter. Did you all enjoy Reverend Thompson's service last Sunday? Yeah, that was great. I'm sorry I forgot to send it out, but I'll send it out with the email this Sunday. But yeah, it was great, right? So I just wanted to share about dreaming and some of the dreams that I have for our community. It's just small things, right? Like I loved how David was talking about bringing in new families and taking care of those children and having the heart to, as parents, to embrace other people's families and other people's children. We actually have several families that as soon as we get my dad's lectures going again, that we were going to invite, and we believe, I have a lot of hope that they'll be really inspired by the principal. But just to finish off, have you heard recently about this guy who did skydiving from like 5 miles up into a net without a parachute? Many of you have heard about it, right? I was so inspired by that for some reason. I don't know why. But just the idea that somebody could think to take to the next level skydiving with a parachute to skydiving without a parachute. Why not? So crazy. But I love that kind of, it kind of like goes along with the whole dreaming thing or like thinking out of the box. Like, how can we take things to a new level in a way that no one else has done before? So I want to share a short video about that real quick, and I just thought it was really, I was very inspired. It's about 5 miles up he dove from.
Doors open. Here we go.
Jumpers are away. Jumpers are
They're
away.
off. Now he's practicing the flip. That's how he'll have to land. He'll have to land on his back. At 18,000 feet, the oxygen mask will come off. That will be from his cousin, Andy Farrington, who will be closest to him.
I think this will be the next big thing, honestly. Now that one person's done it, I bet lots of people are going to do it. I bet one of you's going to do it sooner or later.
There goes the oxygen mask. Now at 12,000 feet, he'll hear a beep in his helmet. That will tell him he's halfway home.
The net is only 100 feet wide. He has to turn around onto his back right
Momentarily,
before he
we'll
hits
see
the
his
net.
jump team pull their chutes, and that means Luke is all alone for the rest of the way. At 6,000 feet, he'll get another beep in his helmet.
He's practicing.
There goes the chutes. Luke is on his own. And the crowd on the ground looking up, they have a visual on him right now. He's in!
Let's give it up for that guy.
And he's kicking and moving. From here, it looked perfect. You've just witnessed history being made. Absolutely amazing. Now we want to wait for our medical staff to check him out.
Yeah, and then
give
of
us
course
the
he's
official
perfectly
okay.
fine. Yeah, he made it. It was great. So, Huh? He made it though. That's what matters. So I think that, you know, true parents, our founders, they really believe in us and they really want us to believe in ourselves, that we have so much more potential and capability that what we've had so far, that we've been able to accomplish in our own lives and in our communities. So I really want for all of us to think, you know, and to be inspired about and not get discouraged about the things that have happened in the past or ways in which our life hasn't worked out well, but to think of what can we do from here on out, or what can we dream about and what can we strive for in our lives and as a community. And I think that the more that we talk about it and the more that we think that way, the more we'll be inspired by what we ourselves can accomplish and what we can do together with our true parents. So thank you very much. God bless you.